Mr. Chairman, the members of this committee find ourselves yet again with a somber obligation before us. And I wanted to just take a moment to sort of express my thoughts on this. And I'll be repeating some of what my colleagues have said, but wanted to lay out at least how I think about this in what is the first time in the history of our republic where we face the decision to impeach a sitting president for the second time. And none of us take any joy or any good feelings away from this. This is something to reflect on. And as everyone has said, this isn't a political decision. The political decision was made on November 3rd by millions of Americans. And so while I'm heartbroken for our nation that it has to come to this, we have a constitutional duty to hold the president accountable for his actions. The events of the past week remain shocking, emotional, and painful for us as individuals as well as a nation. And the violent attack on January 6th led to the deaths of 5 Americans and the desecration of a building that is the very symbol of our democracy, a sacred space that represents the rule of law, the voice of the people, and the fundamental values we hold dear. Most shocking of all, it was incited by the president himself to undermine and disrupt the counting of votes that will bring to a close his presidency. And Donald Trump's actions and rhetoric clearly demonstrate he's unfit for the presidency. I want to repeat what you said just some time earlier this afternoon, Mr. Chairman, that last week we each took an oath to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And in doing so, to protect the American people from clear and present danger. That danger confronts us now, this moment, a dark, insidious, grave danger that threatens the foundation and the people of this grand republic. To thwart this very real hazard, President Trump must be removed from office using any means afforded to us by the Constitution. There can be no question that a president who not only abdicates his responsibility to protect his country, but instead incites violence against it, who not only refuses to forcefully condemn those who seek to overthrow our government, but actively encourages them, who time and time again calls upon our nation's darkest demons instead of summoning our better angels. And there can be no question that surely such a president is exactly the type of unchecked executive that our founders had in mind when they entrusted the House of Representatives with the power of impeachment in the first place. Our president wants us here, the rioters and insurrectionists said, as they violently sought to take over the seat of our government. They firmly believed, and he led them to believe, that they were fighting for him. In fact, he told them directly, minutes before the attack on the Capitol, after this, we're going to walk down and I'll be there with you, although he was not. And they believe that because they have repeatedly been lied to and egged on by a leader who cares more about the preservation of his power and his office than our national interests. The president directed them, you have to show strength. You have to be strong. After the mob attacked Capitol police officers using the American flag as a weapon, the president said, as Mr. Cicilline has reminded us, we love you. You're very special. That was after the incident, not before. Sorry, you can talk all you want about the things he said on the ellipse before the rioters came to attack the Capitol. He said that after, with the full knowledge of what had happened. In any other period, we would find the president's behavior outside the bounds of moral and decent behavior. But we've become almost numb to it. It has, for some, become normalized. But let's acknowledge it. The rhetoric that led to this violence did not begin recently, nor is it poised to end. The president has continually reveled in the support he receives from the worst factions of America, who spout hatred, and he has repeatedly refused to condemn the violence of neo-Nazis, white supremacists, and anti-democratic traitors. We teach our children that words matter, but it is a lesson that gets harder and harder to teach when time and time again it is willfully defied by the leader of the highest office in our land. So let's come together to make it clear to our children, our grandchildren, and to the generations to follow that Donald Trump's behavior is antithetical to American law, American democracy, and American values. We must make it clear to this president and to all future presidents that we cannot and will not tolerate actions that endanger, in the words of Jefferson, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness for all Americans. And through all of this, let's ensure one thing remains clear to our country and to those watching around the globe. Our democracy is strong. It may bend, but it will not break, and we're testament to that tonight. Mr. Chairman, as I close, I'm reminded that those of us entrusted with the safety and security of our nation, a good conscience, President Kennedy wisely observed, is our only sure reward. In history will be the final judge of our deeds. My friends, the time of good conscience is now. Let's act in defense of our nation, support this resolution, and earn the approving final judgment of history. With that, I yield back, Mr. Chairman.